I'm in Astana, a capital city that 30 years ago didn't exist.
And this is Baytrik Tower, the symbol of Kazakhstan's independence. Locals call it the Tree of Life. In the middle of the Kazakh steppe, one of the flattest, coldest places on earth, the government decided to build this, Central Asia's biggest mosque. A palace of peace, entire neighborhoods of futuristic glass and quirky buildings. It's confusing and cold. So cold, you start to wonder, why would anyone build anything in a place like this? It felt like a city trying too hard to prove something, a kind of monument to ambition. But now, the same country that built a capital from scratch is trying to build something even harder, a tech ecosystem. And it's doing pretty well. Kazakhstan is producing billion-dollar companies at a speed that's unusual for a country this small. It sounds unbelievable, a post-Soviet oil state becoming a tech powerhouse. But when you dig deeper, you realize this city was never about showing off. It was a prototype, a test run for what a new world could look like. So I met the guy who took on Uber from Siberia, a minister turning education into Kazakhstan's next big export, a venture builder inside Astana Hub, a place that looks more like a sci-fi movie set than a co-working space, and the fastest scaling Gen AI company ever, Hicksfield, now valued at $1.3 billion. All of them are betting on one thing, that in the middle of Central Asia, Kazakhstan has built something the rest of the world should be paying attention to. I'm convinced the West has no idea what Central Asia is, other than Borat.
Hello, my name is Borat.
For most people, this whole region is a blank spot on the map, somewhere between Russia, China, and a bunch of countries they can't quite name. But that somewhere happens to sit at the center of everything. It's the land bridge between East and West, between Moscow and Beijing, the Caspian and the Himalayas, a crossroads for trade, influence, and power. And right in the middle of it all is Kazakhstan, the biggest, richest, and most stable country in the region. It's almost the size of Western Europe, but has fewer than 20 million people. It's got oil, uranium, lithium, and a serious obsession with building. But before we talk about what Kazakhstan is building, you have to understand who it is. This is a Muslim-majority country, not because of conquest or ideology, but because of geography. Islam came here 1,000 years ago, not by war, but by trade. Caravans moved through the Silk Road, carrying not just goods, but ideas. And over centuries, Islam blended with nomadic traditions because the Kazakhs were historically nomads, moving across vast steppes with clan-based social structures. Then the Soviets arrived and enforced state atheism across it. Religion went underground, mosques were shut, and an entire generation grew up secular. After the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Nursultan Nazarbayev, a former Soviet steelworker, suddenly became the first president and the face of a new, ambitious state. And Nazarbayev had a big idea: to move the capital away from Almaty, a city surrounded by mountains, too close to the Chinese border, and plant it in the middle of the steppe. A strategic, symbolic, almost stubborn decision to say, we're building our own center of gravity. So in 1997, the new capital was officially born, first called Akmola, which literally means white grave. That didn't sound very inspiring, so they renamed it Astana, which means capital. Soon after, the government renamed the capital Nur-Sultan, a gesture meant to honor the man who led Kazakhstan through its early years of independence. That didn't go down so well. Many Kazakhs felt it symbolized exactly what they were trying to move beyond: one man's rule, frozen in glass and gold. So in 2022, the new president changed it back to Astana, a symbolic reset for a country trying to find its next chapter. And if you want to understand how Kazakhstan went from building cities to building startups, you start with this guy. This is Arsen Tomsky, the founder of InDrive, the second most downloaded ride-hailing app in the world, second only to Uber, a company that has gone from Siberia to Silicon Valley and now calls Kazakhstan home.
I guess I'm going to start from the very beginning. You have a very atypical journey. You decided to start your company in one of the coldest places on earth. Can you take me back to the origin story and how you started this in the very early days?
Like you said, I am from officially the coldest city in the world. Some days we have like minus 60, 65 degrees. And it was in 2012. And it was very whole day, and local taxi companies, they formed unfair cartel agreement. In one day they raised their fares, and people of course were very upset because it was too cold to go. And 20 years old student Alexander Pavlov, he created special profile in social media. And people could come and say, I would like to go from A to B. Students with cars, they had cars, they started to negotiate with them. And people began to go with cheap fares, cheaper than it was before this cartel agreement. And in short time, 50,000 people, they joined it and started to use it. And I saw it and I decided to launch. In last 12 years, we built this global, very successful the company.
Okay, so what were the countries where you expanded first?
So we began in the Yakutsk. Then first country outside of Russia, it was here, this city exactly. And we took off in very short time. It was December 2014. We now work in 48 countries, and in 8 countries we're the leaders, including such large countries like you said, Pakistan, Egypt, Colombia, etc.
I read that the sort of center of the company is in Kazakhstan. You became a Kazakh citizen as well, right? Was this like a moral decision as well?
No, it was, we were forced to do that because of the war, Russian-Ukrainian war. And we relocated 1,000 people here from Russia. And now Kazakhstan is the largest hub for us. And we realized this is a very good place to keep such a hub. Yeah?
Do you ever see InDrive going into the US, for example, or even London?
We made tests, and as I said, we see that people in the US, they don't want to save. We can do it if we focus on high checks. If you are help people to save not $5, so you can help them to $20. It start make sense for people. But this means you should focus only on long distances, yeah. And we don't want to do it. We don't want to build niche, yeah. So in the future we will see. Because I believe in the US a lot of injustice too. Cycle by cycle, we'll find a way how we should do it.
And my final question, because this is about Kazakhstan and Kazakhstan as a case study, what do you wish more people knew about this country?
I've been in my life in more than 70 countries. And I can say this is absolutely the unique place. People very kind, very open. No invisible walls between people, and also people are well educated and a large, as I said, there is a large in the intellectual and the creative potential. We are going to use it to scale, yeah, to run businesses and run non-profit initiatives. So this is a future star in tech. Yeah. Also, they have good food.
Yeah.
In a way, Arsen is doing what this country has been doing for 30 years, building and proving the word wrong. If InDrive is the face of Kazakhstan's new tech story, this place, the Astana hub, is the backbone. In just a few years, Kazakhstan's startup economy has grown 18 times since 2019 and is now worth over $26 billion. That's not just growth, that's velocity. While much of the world's tech scene is still cooling off, Kazakhstan is heating up. Here, growth isn't driven by hype or billion-dollar valuations. It's built on policy, talent, and a healthy dose of pragmatism. Astana Hub is Central Asia's biggest technopark and the engine behind the country's digital experiment. It gives founders what most ecosystems make them fight for: zero corporate tax, easy visas, and a direct pipeline to accelerators from Google to Draper University. It's a literal launchpad for what Kazakhstan calls its digital economy 2.0. And the data proves it's working. Kazakhstan now ranks among the top countries in the world for startup conversion, the rate of turning early-stage startups into billion-dollar outcomes. Its unicorn conversion rate isn't as high as China's, but is catching up to the US for decacorns or $10 billion companies. It's also well ahead. And for thoroughbreds, companies crossing $100 million in revenue, Kazakhstan outperforms most established markets. Inside the Astana Hub, their idea is taking shape in places like Baiba's venture studio, launched by my friend Ibrahim Tashim, a builder who spent years advising the Kazakh government on energy, AI, and education. Instead of waiting for entrepreneurs to appear, Baiba assembles teams, funds their first ideas, and keeps the companies rooted in Kazakhstan. Right now, Ibrahim's building what he calls an AI syndicate. Startups reimagining how energy and education work across the region. It's a new kind of entrepreneurship for a new kind of economy where innovation isn't accidental, it's engineered.
So this is a government initiative, right?
Yeah, this is a semi-government.
Can you explain the structure?
Astana Hub is basically umbrella for startups, for many venture studios, for venture funds. And this has been launched by the president of Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan views artificial intelligence not as one more technological advancement, but as a major breakthrough that can be a true engine of human progress.
Now is AI agenda, very popular one. So, by the way, we had our first unicorn just a few days ago, like this week. It's a Higgsfield video generation tool, which is like at the top of the AI companies, like competing with Sora from OpenAI, VO3, etc. And idea is to implement it in government, in business, and we're also heavily investing in education and public education.
Why do you think the Kazakh youth are so hungry and so motivated? And everyone I spoke to doesn't seem negative about the country so much. Why do you think that is?
I think it's historical. We were with Ottoman Empire, we survived the Soviet Union. So there are hot countries and cold countries. Say cold countries, Russia, cold mentally, right? And hot countries, Iran, hot-blooded, right? But in the middle of those countries, there is Central Asia and Kazakhstan. So we had this mix of everything. Kazakhstan is warm. What do you mean by warm? We are Western educated. We are heavily investing in private universe, public universe, by bringing the important one, the global programs. So our youth are benefiting from that programs, getting the scholarships, fully funded scholarships. See, we got this synergy with everyone. So in Europe, in US, we are Western educated, we understand what they're talking about. We grew up with all this content. In China, we're very diplomatic, making a business with them. With Russia, we're also very diplomatic. And in Middle East especially, we are now getting close with Qatar, UAE as well. So we are Muslims, we share same values, family values. So I think that's our unique side of Kazakh. And each country has the rise, golden age, and decline. Kazakhstan is still on the rise. So that's why our youth really hungry for success. They want to change, and it's happening. As you saw at the digital bridge, our guys are the 3 times champions in robotics. We're doing like AI projects, lots of things happening in Kazakhstan.
And if you want to see Kazakhstan's tech experiments collide in one place, you come here. Every year, thousands of investors, engineers, and government leaders land in Astana for Digital Bridge, Central Asia's biggest tech event. It's part conference, part pitch stage, part national flex. And rightfully so. In just a few years, it's become the region's main showcase where the world gets a front row seat to Kazakhstan's digital ambitions. And one startup that everyone is talking about here is Higgsfield. In 2025, Higgsfield became Kazakhstan's first AI unicorn. But the interesting part isn't the valuation, it's the speed. Higgsfield went from early rounds to $130 million Series A in under a year in AI video generation, one of the most competitive categories in the world. This is a space dominated by US and Chinese labs, and yet Higgsfield broke through. As investors here put it, Central Asia doesn't need to win the race to build foundational models. That race is already crowded. The real opportunity is applied AI, a specific product solving a specific problem at global scale. And once you see that, Digital Bridge makes more sense. And the thing is, none of this happened by accident. Back in 2018, the government launched something called Digital Kazakhstan, a national plan to pull the country out of its oil dependency and into the digital age. The goals were massive: digitize everything, train everyone, and turn the government itself into a kind of startup. Today, over 90% of public services are online. The tech sector has grown 41% year over year and is now worth $2.4 billion. More than 18,600 IT companies are registered in the country, up 16% in just 3 years. The West loves the myth that innovation starts in garages, but here, it starts in government buildings. If Kazakhstan's first act was building cities out of nothing, and its second was building startups from scratch, then this, right here, is its third act: building people. Meet Sayasat Nurbek, the country's Minister of Science and Higher Education. He's one of the architects behind Digital Kazakhstan and the driving force behind a new national project called Study in Kazakhstan. It's Kazakhstan's attempt to turn education itself into a global export.
Kazakhstan is doing this whole program called Study in Kazakhstan. So what's the goal behind it? Is it to import international students into the country? Or is it to kind of reshape Kazakhstan's own internal educational system?
Well, we have 3 major goals for Study in Kazakhstan program. One is obvious, is to get as many foreign students as possible from the region to Kazakhstan. And many countries do that at the moment. Korea has this 150K foreign students program. They're trying to get 150,000 foreign students by 2027, the next 2 years. Study in Malta, study in Turkey. And reason being, traditional, conventional academic mobility centers, they are suffering. So we are planning to attract 150,000 students to Kazakhstan in next 3 years. We were able to attract 31,500 students so far, our historic record. Thanks to brand power of these great partnerships, we were able to coin in last 3 years. The second goal, which is more important, is to transform our local public and best private universities into research-intensive universities. So if you look at the map, we didn't concentrate all these great partnerships in just large cities like Almaty or Astana. And in case of Qatar or in case of the Emirates, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, they're smaller countries, so they built what we call knowledge cities, right? Or QSTP, Qatar Science and Technology Park. We had different strategy. We said, no. We're going to disperse all these great universities throughout our large country to make sure every public regional university has its own partner.
And it's not just talk. They're literally importing universities. Penn State, Cardiff, Coventry, Woosong, all setting up joint campuses right here in Astana. By next year, there will be at least 10 foreign universities operating in Kazakhstan, and they're selling the idea hard.
So take me back a bit. Let's zoom out. 10 years ago, this wouldn't have been possible. Can you explain to me the makeup of Kazakhstan as a country that made this now possible today?
There was this great leader who is actually the mastermind of Chinese economic success, Deng Xiaoping. And he was a very pragmatic person, very practical, down to earth. And he said, remember that famous expression he had, no matter what color the cat is, it's important that it catches mice, right? And he said, we're going to focus on several things, not many things. And education and research was one of the top priorities. Agriculture, industry, machinery, but it said education and science. And if you look at what actually what was the foundation of Chinese economic success, it was Deng Xiaoping's reform. So one, I'd say we have great leadership and the president who's focused on nurturing human capital, on technology, and AI is now becoming his personal priority. I mean, like you've seen the digital bridge the whole week. The president is showing up and is speaking about his strategy, and he shows his commitment. So a lot of these AI experts who are now members of his National AI Council are very thrilled to say, wow, not many countries have people who have leaders who are so focused on AI and technology and human capital. Two, I think we had already good foundation thanks to Soviet Union. There are not many things we're thankful, but education. Yeah. We had quite solid education. You take, compared to many countries in the world, Kazakhstan, we have free mandatory primary, secondary, and high school education. We provide access, very wide access to higher education. Now we're bringing a lot of these great universities. We're making systemic transformation. And third, I think it's a large country with very small population, relatively small. Yeah, 20 million now. So the competition actually is very low, which is a bad thing. When you have more people, the competition is, but also it gives you a lot of space, right? Do you know that Kazakhstan has one of the highest social optimism among young people compared to many countries in the world? You go to Europe, you go to many countries, North America, you talk to young people, they're quite pessimistic, unemployment, education. There's this new trends, bed rotting, if you've heard about it. They thought it started in Japan, and now it's all over the world. And it's in America, it's in Korea, in China, bed rotting. Said, I don't want to do anything. What's use if me trying to do anything? There's no options for me, no opportunities for me. But in Kazakhstan, I think there's this high level of social optimism. Families, parents are willing to sacrifice, sell, if needed, their assets to provide best available education to their kids. So this is very important. It's kind of a more of a non-economic tools, but cultural things, but they are important. So focus on education and providing best education and having social optimism, looking for brighter future, looking for opportunities, having that active life position also helps. And there's so many things we need to overcome. We need to introduce changes. But I think some of these things will help Kazakhstan to become the middle power of this region.
And as I'm listening to him, I can't help but think about my own story. I studied at Sciences Po in Paris on a full scholarship by the French government. When I first moved to London, it was through another government-backed program designed to attract global talent to build in the UK. Even my golden visa that I was nominated for in the UAE was part of that same playbook. These programs are soft power. Every achievement I make as an individual in some way traces back to one of those countries. And that's what Kazakhstan is building now. To me, Siyasat's vision is clear. He's not just trying to train coders for the tech sector, he's trying to position Kazakhstan as a place where the next generation of builders from Pakistan, China, Central Asia can come to learn, work, and eventually stay. And even if and when they leave, Kazakhstan stays with them. For all the ambition here, there is still the question, who is this really for? Because when you walk through Astana, it's hard not to notice how big everything feels and how empty some of it still is. The monuments, the towers, the pyramid, symbols of progress that sometimes feel like they're waiting for the people to catch up. Outside the capital, many still live in small towns that haven't changed much since Soviet times. And while the skyline screams future, a lot of that future is still financed by oil. It's easy to dismiss places like this as experiments. Some say the country is too young, too centralized, and perhaps even too idealistic. But maybe building from the top down isn't the weakness. Maybe it's the model. And maybe that's exactly what the rest of the world has been missing.